Hello, welcome to episode 34 of Fluffy Fibres, the French podcast in English on sewing, knitting, spinning and living green, all of course with the occasional help of the kit to the house. Hello everyone, I do hope you are all doing very well on this mid-October. Today is October 15th, 2015, and my name is Isabelle, and you can find me on Instagram, Ravelry, Twitter as Fluffy Fibres, and the show notes for the podcast can be found at fluffyfibres.com, and you can also find a group for the podcast on Ravelry. I am very happy to be back today, although I'm a little bit, it's a bit strange for me because actually I recorded the whole podcast, and then when I went about to edit it, I realised that I'd lost the first segment had no sound because I'd forgotten to switch the mic on. So I'm having to re-record this. So it feels a little strange, and of course the lighting is different, and I'm sure the frame will be a bit different. But you know, at least today we have Pete Mignon who wanted to say hi, so that's always good, isn't it? Also, I just wanted to please, in the yesterday and today, I'm just come back from work and very hastily putting this together so that I can then go and fetch my daughter from school. So it's a little hectic, and so please excuse the fact that I'm a bit disheveled and all that, but you know, that's life, isn't it? It's not what we're here for anyway. So today's segment will include my cup of tea, a handmade wardrobe which will tie in directly with a bit of sewing, a bit of knitting, and then I'll just talk a little bit about things really, about life, so that those of you who are here just for the sewing and knitting can, log off at the end without having to listen to all of that. So for my cup of tea today, and yesterday rather, yesterday I was drinking Pukka 3 Cinnamon, just the same as the previous time I recorded, and today I'm drinking Pukka Vanilla Chai. I just love these. I've been pretty much obsessed with these really ever since I discovered them. And so this is vanilla chai, and it has cinnamon and licorice and vanilla, obviously. It's a very nice blend of those kind of spices, very round thanks to the vanilla. It feels really warm when we drink it. It's very, very warming, very comforting. It's a very comforting drink. And I'm drinking it in a mug or a large cup that was a gift from Seb this autumn. I've been looking for this kind of large, oversized cup really for a long time, several years really, because I wanted it to be special and handcrafted, and we just found this in a local shop very next to us actually, and this was handcrafted by the shop owner's mother, very near from here. So it's perfect, and I absolutely love the style and the simplicity, the very nice subtle blues, and what I love about it is it looks crayoned really. I really love it. I really love this mug. I've been using it every day since Seb gave it to me. So yes, and for a handmade wardrobe today, I'm actually going to insert a little clip here, and so that you can see the whole outfit. So yesterday I was also wearing this shawl, which is the lattice shawl by Maria Monska, and of course I'm dressed differently today, but yeah, you will see yesterday's outfit. This is the Ray skirt by Sewaholic Patterns, and I made it out of an Alexander Henry fabric, which is from 2005 because it was written on the selvage, and the name of the fabric is Clio, K-L-E-O, in the chocolate colourway. So it's these bold abstract florals in shades of aqua and red and yellow, and over a chocolate background. And so what I really liked about this skirt is, even though it is, you know, it's a skirt with an elasticized waistband, first of all, the waistband is pretty large. I used a 2 centimeter elastic band, so I think it gives it a more structured look. It's a lot more flattering than a thin elastic, you know. And also, it really looks like an actual belt. And also, the dress is actually structured because you have panels. You have a central panel and then side panels, and it's completely the same back and front. So it's extremely beginner friendly, because you couldn't mistake your fronts for your back pieces and vice versa. The pattern is extremely detailed for beginners. It's really geared toward beginners, but obviously you don't need all the explanations if you have an experience in sewing. I definitely did not read through all the instructions. But I think it's a nice basic, and it's a nice twist, I think, from the basic, you know, gathered rectangle, which is going to be a lot less flattering, because here, because you have this taper, you know, it really tapers from a wide hem up to a narrow waist. It's going to be a lot more flattering, I think, than just the rectangle, because you have a lot less fabric at the waist. So you see, it's not bulky at all. I think it's really cute. You really have the look of a cute gathered skirt, but it's not as bulky. I think it's a lot more graceful. And the shawl I'm wearing in this outfit is my lovely lattice shawl by Maria Monska, who has the Stitched in Sweden podcast, that is definitely one of my absolute favourite podcasts. And so I knit that, I think, in June of this year. And I'm completely it's handmade in yarn for the turquoise, the gorgeous turquoise. It's a cashmere blend, an MCN blend. And then for the edging, I used drops merino that I had in my stash, baby merino, I think, which is the same weight. And I really, really love this shawl, and I really think it looks nice with this skirt, because it is the same shade of aqua. It's just stronger in the shawl and lighter in the skirt, but I think it really is the same hue, really, you know. So I think it works, and I've really enjoyed wearing this outfit lately. And obviously, just so everyone doesn't wonder, I'm not recording the rest of the episode in my boots. I'm not going near my daughter's bed in my boots, obviously, but that was just the outfit I wear today for work.
So, of course, that also took care of the bit of sewing segment, obviously, because it's the only thing I did sew. I made this skirt because I was inspired by Jenny of Tiny Paper Foxes, who recently made 2 of these Ray skirts by Sewaholic Patterns. It's the kind of inspiration that just grabs you, and I just had to make it as fast as possible. I was just hugely inspired by her version. And so, last evening, a couple of evenings ago, today is Thursday, so Tuesday evening, I just decided to grab the fabric I wanted to make this out of from my deep, deep stash, since this was from 2005, and so 10 years ago, to just make it. And it took so little time to make, from printing out the pattern to taping it, to taping the pattern pieces, to cutting out the skirt, to assembling the skirt and finishing it. It took me, I'd say, just a little over 1 hour. And I did this whilst being with my daughter and taking care of her, because the wonderful thing now is this: she just loves being in my sewing room. So, it's just fun for both of us. You know, I'm sitting at my sewing table and she's playing around with my ribbons and my buttons and everything, really, and pretending to action my sewing machine as well, because I have my ball winder next right to my sewing machine, which it is attached to the same table. And so she turns the ball winder while I sew, pretending that she's the one powering the sewing machine. Is just adorable, really. So we have a lot of fun, and so I was able to sew this very fast, and I'm just so happy I did, because I haven't been sewing in so long, and I was really feeling a bit uninspired with my sewing lately. So it's a good thing that I made this skirt, and I really want to make another one. And my daughter asked for one as well. She wants the same one as me. The problem is I don't have this fabric anymore. This fabric is actually really special to me, because it was sent to me, well, not this exact piece, but the same fabric was sent to me about 10 years ago for a collaboration that I made for a book, which was called One Yard Wonders. And I was asked by the lovely editors to participate in the book, and so I participated by making a skirt, a pattern for a skirt, so a barrier skirt that uses a yard of fabric. And so they sent me this particular fabric to make my sample, and I absolutely loved it. And so after that I purchased some more to make myself a skirt, but because this fabric was so very special, somehow I hadn't got around to making it until October 2015. But I'm glad I waited. I think it's good as well to have this kind of deep stash that is just waiting for you, you know, for the right inspiration to strike. And actually I had another example of this just right next to me. This is also from Deep Stash. Maybe the title of this episode will be Deep Stash, because I know sometimes we feel a little guilty about our yarn or fabric purchases, and I'm one of the first to feel so, to feel like I'm accumulated too much. But then it really feels good as well it's good. I think it's really like a painter with his colours, and I'm sure I've used this analogy before in my podcast, because it's one I really believe about, I really believe in. I really feel our yarn and fabrics, they are like colours for a painter, you know, and you couldn't be able to create if you had just 1 or 2 or 3 colours in your palette, would you? And I think it's the same with yarn or fabric. I think it's good to have things that you're not using straight away, but that someday will prove to be the absolute perfect material for the project that you have in mind. And it's exactly what happened with this particular project, I think. So yes, the problem is my daughter wants the same skirt, and I don't have any left. I really used it all up for my skirt. This used a metre and a half, a little less than a metre and a half. And this is a quilting fabric, so it's a narrow width, you know, it's just a little, I think it's about 1 metre wide, selvage to selvage. So, I don't know, I'm not sure I could manage to find this, you know, anymore, because it's so long since it was issued. Although I would only need about, I think, 50 centimetres to make her a skirt. So I'll see what I can find on eBay or Etsy. So that's it for my sewing. Whilst I'm on the topic of tiny paper foxes, I just wanted to very, very warmly recommend her podcast. I very recently discovered it, and she hasn't been podcasting for long, but she already has 4 episodes out, which is way enough to make to make an opinion about a podcast. In fact, I think 10 minutes into the first podcast, I already knew I was going to love her podcast. So I think the experience I had discovering her podcast, it was a little bit like when I discovered Danny's podcast, Danny of Little Bobbins. Just finding someone who has such an incredibly inspiring aesthetics, you know, that really transports you. I don't know how to phrase this, but that really adds some more joy to your world and to your whole knitting aesthetics, you know. And I feel we have so much in common.
So Jenny lives in New York, and I lived in Paris for 10 years, so I can completely relate with the, living in the city. She commutes. She knits a lot on her commute. She commutes on, she has a very long commute on the subway. So of course I relate to that as well. She has a 12-year-old kitty, and Petite Mignonne is 12-year-old, and her kitty is very often on her lap when she records. And she's very petite as well. So I love that because it means I can completely picture myself wearing what she wears, really, So that's very, very nice. And I just love everything that she makes. I tell you, I just had to go and make this skirt because I was so inspired by hers. And she's been wearing, she makes the most beautiful knitting, really, and she's been wearing a lot of hand knit tees. And last year I went through a phase where I absolutely wanted to knit a tee like that, and in the end I didn't do it, but I think this year I will, definitely. It's such a lovely, lovely element in your wardrobe, really, I think. A lovely finely knitted tee. And I think as well, last year I wanted to do that, but I was a little bit intimidated, I think, by knitting a whole garment out of a finer yarn. But really my journey this year has been precisely to knit finer and finer, because now I absolutely actually love knitting lace weight yarn. So I'm not at all intimidated anymore by knitting fingering to lace weight garments. Actually, I enjoy them immensely, and I think they do go fast, because what I've been realizing is that I knit faster with smaller needles than when I knit on chunkier yarns and needles and thicker needles. So in fact, it's not at all tedious, and I think it's just so much easier in the hands as well. And so, yeah, so I really absolutely wholeheartedly recommend her podcast. It's just such a joy to the eyes as well, because her husband is a professional photographer and he takes care of the filming. And so visually speaking, her episodes are absolutely beautiful. And so everything is just so soothing, because she films in this very zen environment. Everything is white. She has a white background. She has a white table, very few details, a light grey painting. You can see a light grey painting behind her. So very, very few details, a very subdued palette, which makes this a very relaxing podcast to look at, really. It's just beautiful. And she also is very calm and very well and soft-spoken. Just I couldn't recommend it more, really. So do give her a watch if you haven't already. And she has the most beautiful Instagram feed. And she said her husband takes the pictures in her feed for her feed. And I do recommend you follow her on Instagram, because you won't be sorry. It's just lovely, very lovely. So thank you, Jenny, for taking the time, and thanks to Devon as well for taking the time to produce such a beautiful and inspiring podcast. And for my knitting, I have 3 finished objects to share with you, because as it happens, when you commute a lot, as it happens, you do knit a lot as well. So I never knit on my way to my work, but when I get home from work, I'm way too exhausted to be reading anything or working, so I knit. And so I'm sure for those of you who've listened to the podcast, to the previous episode, I'm sure you know 2 of these finishes, and these are a couple of cardigans. So one for me and one for my daughter. So I think I'll start with my daughter's cardigan. So this is the Little Encolie by Nadia Crétin-Lechen, who has the Itsy Bitsy blog. And it was knit out of La Droguerie Surnaturelle yarn, which is merino. And it is the ardoise colorway, so slate, ardoise meaning slate. And I'm extremely happy about the way it worked out, really.
you know, if you followed the podcast before, you know how much woe I had with this design and with knitting this. But in the end, I'm extremely happy with the way it turned out. I made this extremely long. It is an 8-year size. My daughter is 3.5. But the thing is, I just wanted to make as much, you know, to make the most of my yarn and my work, really. And she can definitely wear it right now. She's been wearing this a lot. She loves it. It turned out extremely soft and very drapey and just really lovely. And I made an extra long rib at the sleeves. So this is one by one twisted rib. I really like the look of twisted rib. And so I made this about, I think, 15 centimeters really, which is 6 inches. And so right now it's rolled all the way up really for it to fit her. So, but you see how much room she has to grow really. So that's great. And, it's pretty wide as well for her right now. So it still fits her, but she can definitely grow into this for a long time. And I made this as part of the purposeful stash along hosted by lovely Danny of Little Bobbins Knits. And so because it was a Danny knit along, I decided to add some dog buttons to it, which I think it's just so lovely. They are navy blue with little white dogs on it, like Scottish terriers, I think you say. So yeah, and my daughter loves the buttons. And talking of buttons, I had a question about this by Kay, who is Sono Mama, and she asked me because I posted a picture on Instagram about where my daughter was looking through my button stash to find some buttons for her cardigan. Even though in the end I did go with purchased ones because none of the ones I had was really working well, and I wanted something perfect for this. But so she asked how I went about developing my button stash, and I don't really have any strategy about that, about my button stash. The big box that you can see on the Instagram picture, and I'll be posting the Instagram picture here so you can see it. The big box, the big round box, is full of wooden painted buttons that I got at Creativa exhibition, like a bit like the shows that you have in the US or in the UK. But much smaller and not with hardly any knitting in it, so that's the shame. But that there was this huge stall with loads and loads of very cheap buttons, wooden buttons, and I went with a friend and we spent so long picking buttons and picking enough to make cardigans really. And that is my stash of wooden buttons. It's really one day we fell in love with these, and I'm really happy I did, because I've really been using these a lot for our cardigans lately, and it's really good to have this whole selection. I really love wooden buttons, so it's good to have this variety of various sizes and colours. Some of them are wooden coloured, some of them have a white background, so they really work for loads of different options really. And then the rest of my button stash really has been accumulated year after year. A lot of it is inherited actually, was given to me by Seb's grandmother. I think I mentioned this a few episodes ago, a good few episodes ago, but my Seb's grandmother, my husband's grandmother, is, her best friend was a very prolific sewist. And when her friend passed away, she kind of inherited all of her fabric and her buttons and her lace and everything. And she's been giving it to me little by little. So about every time I see her, she has a box for me, a tin box for me, full of either lace, vintage lace or buttons. And it's very precious to me because she doesn't sew at all. My husband's grandmother, I want to say my grandmother, but she doesn't sew at all.
But she did knit back in the day, because I actually happened to have a gorgeous cardigan, more like a coat, that she made for Seb's mother, but that turned out to be too small for Seb's mother. And I got it, and I absolutely love it. It's this very rustic, hooded, long coat, really, that I love wearing when we go to the park on Sunday afternoons when it's not too chilly. It's just wonderful. So anyway, she really does appreciate my crafting anyway. So yes, that's how I got a lot of my buttons, actually. And then I also love to do we love going to flea markets and that kind of thing, especially to get toys or clothes for my daughter, because we do believe a lot in second hand. It just makes a lot more sense today to be buying second hand, and I love hunting for nice lace, vintage lace and vintage buttons. So that's how I got a lot of it as well. So these are all really very inexpensive, but also quite precious, because they really come from another era, And there's a little shop very next to me where they now sell a lot of vintage buttons as well. So I have lots of options for this, really. But then sometimes, and a lot of times, I just need to go through my button stash and find things from this. But for this particular occasion, I really wanted something smoother, in fact, than wooden buttons, because this is really delicate. And I love it. Very happy about it. For the edging, the pattern tells you to do no edging, actually, if I recall. Yeah, you just bind off. But what I did was a crochet bind off to give it a little more structure. And also this was very handy, because it means when I bound off at the place where the buttonholes had to be, I just added these little buttonholes whilst binding off, really. So, when I reached this, for instance, I bound off a stitch and then I chained a few stitches and then I continued binding off. So that was very handy. And the other thing I did differently was the hem as well. So this has picot hem. The pattern recommends to have a picot bind off, to do a picot bind off, but I don't really like this for garments, because it's going to roll out to, very fast. But I do love a picot hem in a garment. I really love how well finished it looks from the inside and the outside. So I'm sure you all know this technique. It's very easy to do a picot hem, and then you do have to sew it down. So to tack it down, I do love it, actually. It's like hand sewing. When I hand finish a garment, I think it's so relaxing and zen. So I do love doing this. So yeah, I'm very, very pleased with this beautiful cardigan. As for my other finished cardigan, if you followed the podcast before, you all know what it is. And if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen it as well. If you want to follow me on Instagram, by all means do. My Instagram feed is set to private, but anyone who, knits or sews is highly welcome to participate, or spins, obviously. But just so I'm sure, if it's not sure, clear from your feed that you are a fibre, someone from the fibery community, do please drop me a line on Ravelry or shoot me an email at fluffyfibres@gmail.com so that I can add you, because if your description, mentions knitting or sewing, or if I can see your feed and I can see that you're posting yarn and fabric or anything, and sewing, etc., I will add you straight away. But if I don't know who you are, then I won't. I will I will wait for you to tell me who you are. So my cardigan, my finished cardigan, is the Lobelia cardigan by Megan Fernandez, and it is knit out the beautiful fairy hair on the left lace base by Woolenvine Yarns, Kristin, who has the Yarngasm podcast, and it's just a podcast I never ever miss for the world. And I'm actually going to wear it so that you can see it better. Obviously it's going to clash horribly with my skirt, but you're not seeing my skirt anymore, so it doesn't really matter, does it? So I'm extremely happy with this cardigan. I just love the fabric that it created. It's so airy and weightless and just so precious because it's a blend of silk and merino, and it's lace weight. And I just enjoyed knitting this so much. So this is a pattern that was issued in Pompon magazine, issue 4, I think. Yes, spring 2013. And so I just did a few modifications from the original pattern, but not much really, because I made the sleeves longer. The sleeves are supposed to stop at your elbow, to stop there, and I made them 3/4 sleeves because I love 3/4 sleeves. I absolutely love the detail at the sleeves here, the twisted rib and the cables. I absolutely love this. This was very fiddly to do, but I really, really love this. I love obviously the flower detail at the raglan, and I made this longer, but I didn't put buttons all the way because I knew it was going to be extremely fiddly to have all these buttons on a lace weight cardigan, you know, all the way. So I just did 3 buttons, and this is definitely from my stash. I have tons of them in my stash, this particular shade it's a very slightly transparent mauve, medium mauve, which goes really well with it. So I'm very pleased about this cardigan. And the funny thing is, I blocked these the same day, and they are actually about the same length, which is just crazy because my daughter's cardigan, because I wanted this to last, is almost knee length on her, and this is just at the top of my hip bone. This hits me at the top of my hip bone, so and also, you know, this has shorter sleeves. This actually, my daughter's cardigan took more yarn than this one. It did, which is completely insane, isn't it? And this weighs nothing. It's just a wisp of a cardigan. Well, I'm going to keep it actually for the rest of the show so that you can see it well. But it's the wisp of a cardigan. It weighs 85 grams. So I actually had 15 grams left out of 100. I just find this absolutely amazing and wonderful that you can make a cardigan out of less than 100 grams of yarn. And so I do have some yarn left. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it really, but it just seemed to be the skein that never ended, really. This beautiful, beautiful skein of Wool and Vine yarns. And actually, Kristin just sent me the most amazing friendship package. You can see a picture of it on my Instagram feed. And in the package, she included some fairy hair nail polish. And it's actually, an overlayer that you put with lots of sparkles, and it definitely has the shades of hair colourway. And so I had to wear it to coordinate. And behind, under it, I have Ladylike, which is by Essie, which I absolutely love. It's just a futile little moment in the podcast, but if you're looking for a beautiful, neutral nail polish, Ladylike by Essie is perfect for autumn, I think. It's just a hint of colour. It just gives this polished aspect to your nail, but it's very neutral. I just love it. When I'm uninspired to know what I'm going to wear on my nails, I wear Ladylike. And when I do have time to do my nails, which is not often these days, but anyway. So Kristin, thank you so much for the wonderful package and for this super thoughtful and fun addition to the package. I really love this nail polish, so thank you very much. I think it's Sally Hansen nail polish. I can't remember. I'll put it somewhere in the screen. So yeah,
And I have another finished object, which had only slightly started, I think, last time I recorded. And it is also something in this kind of lovely pinky mauve. I'm not sure what's up with me these days, but I'm loving pinky mauve at the moment. And it is the Windswept shawl by Molly of a Homespun House, lovely Molly. And so I knit this out of Malabrigo Silky Merino, out of deep stash. I got this at Loop in London in 2010, I think, or 11. But so it's one of my oldest yarns, and one of these, again, from deep stash. And sometimes it's good to have these treasures in your deep stash, because look, it was just perfect for this beautiful shawl. I'm so happy about this shawl, and it turned out extremely large because I knit it in a DK weight, and see, definitely longer than my wingspan, massive. And I wanted a massive shawl. I've been wanting for cozy shawls lately to wear when I'm working, to wear to work, to wear really as a cardigan almost, you know. And I think I'm going to wear it. I haven't worn it before yet. I blocked it yesterday, or yeah, I think so. So I haven't worn it. No, I blocked it this weekend, but I haven't worn it yet. I think tomorrow I'm going to dress all in black, with probably a little black skirt and a simple black long-sleeved tee, and I'm going to wear this, you know, like this, just to have this beautiful pop of, you know, lovely soft, you know, colour. And so the colour is Madre Perla by Malabrigo, and it has this beautiful shifts that work really well with the slip stitch, you know. And so I was a bit obsessed about this shawl, and that's why it got finished so fast, because once I was done with my two cardigans, I just only knit on this, really. Sorry, my phone rang and I had to take the call. So anyway, yeah. So I think I was saying that I ripped through this because after I was done with the two cardigans, it's the only thing I knit on, because I was just so enjoying it, really, and I wanted to be done. Because I really wanted the finished object. I just love the colour and love the way the shade worked out with this particular pattern. You have the lovely picot bind off and eyelet kind of edging. So yeah, massive shawl. And this is a singles yarn, so it means it's extremely drapey and soft and just beautiful. I'm so happy with the way this blocked out. And I didn't block it aggressively at all. I just laid it to dry and didn't pin it out, actually. I just stretched the picots one by one by hand, but didn't pin them down, really. But I think it worked well. It's really big. It's my second biggest shawl now. I have a massive shawl that I made back when I didn't knit yet, back when I was crocheting, and I wear this one a lot when I'm working from home. But I've been wanting to renew my library of large shawls, and especially it's not super soft, this yarn, the yarn I crocheted my shawl out of, so I think it could be warmer and cozier, you know, so, but this is almost as big, really. So yeah, I need to take pictures of it still. I haven't done that yet. So that is it for my finished objects. And then I started a featherweight cardigan out of, so first of all, I'm hosting this in my new bag that I got from my lovely friend Mama to Abigail on Instagram. She's Erin, and she's Mama to Abigail on Instagram and Ravelry, and she has a shop on Etsy that is called Holland Handmade Co. She kindly sent me a wonderful package this summer, and she sent me another package absolutely amazing package of books for my daughter. You know, because she saw how much we enjoyed the books that she sent the first time around, and she sent a massive package with loads of beautiful books, and so we've really been enjoying them. She's just so thoughtful. She also included a beautiful handmade apron for me. And the funny thing is, when at the same time as she sent out the package, she also did an update on her Etsy shop, and I saw this and I just couldn't resist. So I received 2 packages from her in 2 days, because the next day she sent this out. And so it's her medium size, which is actually quite large. Definitely a multiple skein bag. And so the beautiful, her beautiful signature style really is that you always have 3 prints in her bags. So you have the outer fabric, then you have the drawstring, and then you have the inside, which is just as pretty as the outside. Beautiful bag, absolutely beautiful bag. And because it's not interfaced, it's soft and squishy, and it means it's perfect for me to put into my main work bag, because it's not going to take up a lot of room. And I absolutely love this print, and I'm just so in love with this. And so I started a featherweight cardigan by Hannu Fettig, and in fact, you're going to laugh, because in fact, as soon as I finished this, I thought I needed another lace weight cardigan, because they are really great for this climate. We need a lot of layering here, because in the morning, as I told you, it can be really, really cold. But then in the afternoon, it can go up to 19 degrees. So you have a very wide amplitude if you want. And so you need to have lots of layers so that you can unpeel them as the day goes by. And I think these lightweight cardigans are perfect, because then you can, you know, scrunch them up in a little bag and put them into your main bag, and they're not going to be cumbersome on it or anything. And they're not going to be bulky under a coat either. So I think these are great. So for this particular project, I'm using yarn, beautiful hand-dyed yarn, lace weight yarn by One Twisted Tree, onetwistedtree.com. And the dyer behind this is Danny of Prairie Girl Danny. She has a podcast with Prairie Girl Susie, the Prairie Girls Knit and Spin podcast, which is an audio podcast, and it's the perfect podcast for when you're commuting and in need of a warm, friendly conversation. And so she dyes beautiful yarn. And recently she said, a couple of months ago, they said on the podcast, and she sent a newsletter as well, to say that she was going to carry, to allow custom orders, and one option in the custom orders is lace. She's not carrying this as a regular line if you want, so you're not going to see it on her website listed among her various bases. But if you go on the right side of the website, you're going to see custom order. You can click a button to place a custom order, and then you can choose your colorway and choose the lace base, which is what I did. So this is the Hinky Punk colorway, and I do hope you can see it well here. It's an absolutely beautiful grey shot with purple. So I love grey and I love purple. So, and I really love wearing grey garments. So I really love this as a not so neutral colorway, you know. And so I think this is the exact same base as Kristin Vollenvine's lace weight, because it's the exact same number of plies and number of yards and contents. It's 80% superwash merino, 20% silk, about 873 yards for 100 grams. So I think they may have the same supplier for the lace base, which I'm really glad about, but because I absolutely love this base and it's just a delight to knit with. And so I started this weekend. Yes, this weekend when we went away for the weekend, and I needed a mindless project to just start over there. So I finished my lovely windswept cardigan, windswept shawl over there, which also adds to its loveliness, because I finished this whilst, in our little cabin in the woods on the deck, whilst looking at the beautiful nature, listening to the birds saying their hearts out, and listening to the rush of the river as well nearby. So it was a lovely, lovely break from a very busy and stressful time, and so this is forever associated with it because I bound off over there. And then I started this. So I think I'm about 10 centimeters into the raglan increases. So, and I'm knitting the second size up. The first size is 32 inches, and that's really what I should be knitting if I wanted a fitted cardigan. But I don't want a fitted cardigan. I want something that I can wear a long sleeve tee underneath, and something that's a little cozy. So I'm knitting the next size up, which is 35 and a quarter, 35 inches and a quarter. And that's my one. This is a wonderful pattern. I knitted before actually, but my one gripe about it is that there's no centimeter conversions in it. Everything is in imperial measurements, which I think is a bit of a shame. That is a very minor gripe. Agreed. So I'm very excited to be knitting another one of these, because the first one I made a very poor yarn choice really. I knit it out of cotton, and it was a sports weight. It was really when I was much more of a beginner really, and it's just way too heavy. And anyway, I don't really have a use for cotton cardigans here, because either I need a cardigan, and so I want a warmer cardigan, or it's summer, and in the summer here you don't need a cardigan ever. It's way too hot for a cardigan. So it turns out I never wear this cardigan, which is a shame. So, but I think this one I will wear a lot more. And I'm really converted to lace weight knitting now. I just think it creates such a beautiful, airy fabric, and yeah, I'm very excited to see this grow. So I'm knitting this as part of the featherweight. I think it's Countdown to Christmas, to Winter featherweight knit along, hosted by Kristin, the lovely Kristin of the Yarngasm podcast. I know I won't be done by then, but it's a lovely way to motivate oneself, to be participating in these knit-alongs. I'll always like to participate. Talking of knit-alongs and talking of events, because I didn't cover this segment earlier on, we have 2 knit-alongs running at the moment in the group, and I do apologise because I haven't been active on them at all. I will explain a little why, in a little bit why, but we have the mini spin-along that is still going, and I will be drawing for one of these the prizes very soon. And so the point is simply to spin mini skeins, how many you want. Some of you are doing such a beautiful job with this. And the other knit-along is a Bon knit-along for my newest shawl, and I decided to include as well the verdure. So if you're knitting the verdure shawl, which is my first shawl design, you can also by all means participate, because there are such lovely prizes for this that I wanted to give more of you a chance to win, really. We have some new prizes in it, so do please check out the Ravelry thread for this contest. Lovely Sarah of Nottingham podcast, the Nottingham podcast and shop. She also has a very lovely podcast, and she spins so well. Oh my goodness. And she makes the most beautiful project bags. She very generously offered a project bag up to the value of $30, which is incredibly generous. So it will be the winner's choice of bag from her shop. She has lots of project bags in her shop actually. So that will be absolutely lovely. A beautiful prize really. And then we also have another new prize, which was offered by Sheena of the Casual Fashion Queen Etsy shop. And it's a Flutterby, a skein of her Flutterby colorway in fingering weight yarn. She dyes beautiful yarn she has a beautiful palette. And so you can see a picture of it as well, and I'll probably insert something here in the screen for those of you who are watching. And this, of course, is added to the already beautiful gifts, prizes that we had that were donated. One was donated by Christine of Vollenvanjans, and it's the Dirt and Purpose colorway on her gorgeous, soft, smitten base. So it's a moody grey, beautiful moody grey. And then Nelly Knits, who is Katrina, she also generously donated a skein of Regia in an African print, and a beautiful skein of Sparkle Duck DK in a colourway that is very similar to my Bonbon Shawlette. And talking of the Bonbon Shawlette, I am going to be issuing a second version of the shawl, because the current version is a very elongated and shallow triangle, which is really more like a scarf. And I know some of us prefer the regular triangle increases, the regular triangle shape. So I want to, and I want to offer a DK version of this actually. So I'm going to be, in the next few weeks, I'm going to be knitting a new another version, and to be writing up another version of the pattern. So effectively you will have two shawls, really, two versions. And you can combine, obviously, you can knit a fingering weight yarn version of the regular triangle shawl, or a DK version of this, or you could definitely knit a DK version of the shallow triangular shawl. But anyway, yes, I will be writing up a second version of the pattern. And I will be knitting it out of Wax Yorkshire Spinneys DK Bluefest Leicester. Oh dear, it suddenly turned really, really dark in here. Let me see if I can do something. It's very, yeah, there's a cloud right onto the sun right now, so I'm sorry about that. I do hope you can still see. Yeah, I think the sun will come back in a minute. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm doing what I can. So, beautiful undyed yarn by West Yorkshire Spinneys. So it's their Bluefest Leicester. Very soft. I love Bluefest Leicester. So it's the DK weight. So I have 200 grams of this to knit up a new version of the shawl. So if you would be interested in that, and of course the reason why I'm choosing an undyed version as well is so that you can see the stitch definition, the stitches better as well, so that you can get a really good idea of the shawl, really. So it will be the same stitches, but different shapes and weights of yarn. And so, yeah, I really hope. So of course, if you're interested in that, you do feel free to wait, because the knit along is going until Christmas anyway, and you don't have to be finished with your shawl to enter. You just need to chat in the thread, really, and post your progress over there. It's a very gentle knit along again. So yes, that is it for my current projects and my planning as well. I'm just so glad I managed to take this time to record today. And to be honest, I just didn't think I would be recording so soon. I know it's not soon, given the amount I think it's been 3 weeks since I last recorded, but a lot has happened over the past few weeks for me, and it's been a very, on top of the work, the insane amount of work that I mentioned in my previous few episodes for this, until Christmas, basically. I also, it's been really, a difficult time. Very, very busy, very full time as well. So, I just didn't think I'd have it in me, really, to record, but in fact, of course, it did me good to try and not think about all of this and just to chat with you. And I'm excited just thinking of the response. Every time I publish an episode, then you get to chat back, and I'm very excited about that, about getting to read your response on the Ravelry thread or on Instagram, and I know that will be lovely to read. And even though I'm not, sometimes it takes me a bit of time to respond to you on the threads, but I always read and treasure everything. And I've completely given up on the idea of catching up with the introductions thread and replying to everyone over there. But please do know that I absolutely love reading your introductions, and I always read them several times and I savor them, and I just love the individuality in each of your presentations, and getting to know a little more about you. But yeah, it's been, I don't want to go into too much detail, but those of you who've known me for a while, who've followed the podcast for a few years, I've had some health issues in the past that have tended to worsen lately, and it's been really difficult to cope with, to be honest. But I have my beautiful, wonderful daughter to enjoy every single day, and also, of course, our knitting and creating with beautiful materials, beautiful project bags, interacting with you, the wonderful correspondence, both written and online, that I can have with some of you, sending or receiving gifts. That is all such a lot of things to make me happy, really. So I'm extremely grateful for all of this, and I'm extremely grateful for you for being here, and thanks in advance for the lovely words that some of you I know will be saying. So thank you so much, and thank you for the lovely words that you have on Instagram as well. Especially when I posted this cardigan, I got so many lovely compliments, and that was so fun because we really snapped this picture so fast. We were all three of us on a walk very next to our home, and my daughter was gathering chestnuts and acorns and leaves on the ground, and so we were chatting, and I was laughing, and that was when Seb took the picture. And so it was a lovely family moment, actually, Seb snapping the picture of me talking with my daughter. So yeah, thank you so much to everyone for taking the time to watch or to listen, for bearing with me as it takes me a bit of time between episodes, bearing with me probably the little defects of this recording, because I know, I have had to stop a few times, and I know I won't be able to do as much editing as I would like to, but that is life, right? So thanks to every one of you, and I really do look forward to chatting with you in a little bit. And I have some exciting projects lined up for the foreseeable future in my knitting that I'm very excited about. So I don't have time to talk about them right now, but I will share them on Instagram, because I think actually the package is waiting for me at the post office as I talk. So I will definitely be sharing it. It's a very exciting project. I'm going to be knitting a jumper for Seb, so a pullover, a sweater for Seb. So that's going to be a very exciting project for the upcoming cold season. So until next time, I do hope you're all doing extremely well, and all very happy about spring or fall. These are definitely my most favourite seasons. I'm more of a spring person, to be honest, but ever since coming in the south of France, I've enjoyed fall more, because autumn in northern France is really cold very fast, and very fast you have these very dreary, long, rainy days. And here it's very different. You have this beautiful golden light that I'm sure you can see right now, actually, because the sunlight is starting to come into my daughter's bedroom, and it's very different, and I've been enjoying it more here. And we haven't had that many heavy rains this year so far, knock on wood, because when they come, they're going to be dreadful. But when we don't have these, we have beautiful autumn days here. So I do hope you've been enjoying autumn or spring wherever you are, and I do look forward to chatting with you. So bye!